Soul Blade. Originally released as Soul Edge in the arcades in 1995, it would go on to be released on the home consoles in the next year. Now, you might not recognise this first game, but you will probably recognise the Soul series sequels, Soul Calibur. But for this video, we're going back to where it all started, and the very first arcade version, looking through all the different versions of the game. Now, the arcade version had a much smaller roster than the console version would go on to have. Hwang, for example, was only playable in the Korean version of the game for starters, until on the arcade version 2, he was made playable on all versions. But he's still playable with cheat codes on the original arcade version. Cervantes was also not playable on the first arcade version, and neither was Soul Edge either. Now, there was an update to the arcade version of the game, Soul Edge version 2, and this is because gamers found the original too hard, too challenging, so they made it a bit easier, and also made Cervantes playable. As well as Soul Edge not being playable, there was also a difference to its stage, and it's in the background colours. It was black, blue, and pink. However, in the final version it was just more of a pinky purple. There are also some subtle differences to other stages. The water on Cervantes' stage was changed from grey to a much more suitable turquoise, and the bamboo sticks on Taki's stage were made darker in the console version. But bear in mind that day to night transitions existed from the start all the way till the end. On Rock stage, the grass is a golden colour, whereas on the final version it was changed to green. There's probably a couple of other subtle differences on other stages, but nothing of note, to be honest. The Colosseum is also an interesting stage on the final version. It appears in Edge Master Mode, and can sometimes show up randomly in Versus and Team Battle Mode. But the only way to play on it, when you actually mean to, is by using cheat codes. Now, going back to the arcade version 2, Soul Edge still wasn't playable. There's not that many differences in his moveset, or Cervantes' or Soul Edge on the first arcade version. But finally, he would become playable on the console version. On the arcade version 2, Cervantes also had two costumes, which would go on to be replaced in the console version of the game. For example, on the final version he has a ghost form and a human form, but all his costumes on the arcade version were of this ghost form. The first one is a red colour, and the second one is a grey or silver. However, both of these would be replaced on the console version. Now, some characters and costumes from the various endings of the game are actually playable. You can unlock them from various means. For example, Han Myong. He was the owner of a dojo in Korea, whom Hwang studied under.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of guest fighter. You win!
There are 2 additional costumes for Sophitia that you can lock, where she wears less and then even less clothes.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of Sophitia. You win!
I will never forget you.
Perfect! The grueling battle ended with the victory of Sophitia. You win!
I'm sorry.
And there's also a different costume for Siegfried, which you can see in his bad ending. And again, this costume is unlockable.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of Siegfried. You win!
I never had.
However, there are other characters and costumes that exist in the various endings of each character that you can't unlock. The only way to play as them is with cheat codes. The first one is Bangu, who is Rock's adopted son, and he shows up in both Rock's good and bad endings. It's interesting that his name is spelt with a U when you use cheat codes to play as him, as generally, and subsequently in the series, it's spelt with a double O. As these characters don't have voices of their own, they borrow their voices from other playable characters, as well as their name when they're fighting in game. Belti, more commonly known as Verci, was an Italian weapons merchant whom Voldo served. He shows up in Voldo's endings. Due to his fighting style and appearance, he's often mistaken for Cervantes, but actually he is his standalone character and would be referenced in the later games. There's also a character called Bogus Cervantes, who appears on Cervantes' Edge Master mode. However, his character model is just alike to Cervantes, although he only shows up in that one colour scheme with that weapon. Now, you can play as him using a cheat code for the second player to be able to fight as your enemies in Edge Master mode. But obviously this leaves the first player unmanned, if you're playing by yourself. Now there's an interesting character called Botsu Lilong, who no one knows what he looks like. That's because the game crashes every time you try to play as him, but fans have theorised that he may just be wearing a shade, as seen in the intro movie, but sadly we'll never know. Chie was Lilong's lover, and she shows up in his bad ending.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of John Mina. You win!
There's also Mabo Chie, who shows up in Lilong's good ending, who is simply a ghost of Chie.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of John Mina. You win!
Diver is a character who stars exclusively in Soul Edge's ending. Nothing is known about this character really, and she's never referenced again in the series.
The grueling battle ended with the victory of John Mina. You win!
Hagesieg is an alternative costume for Siegfried. Now, it appears if you play through arcade mode with one of Siegfried's costumes where his face is covered up, for example in his full suit of armour. If you play through the story with this, then when it comes to Siegfried's ending, his costume will default to Hagesieg, because it's important that you can see his face during his ending scene. Again, these are all just playable with cheat codes.
The grueling battle ends with the victory of... You win!
Munkase was another student of Han Myong's along with Hwang, and featured in Hwang's bad ending.
The grueling battle ends with the victory of Hwang Song-kyung. You win!
I like to Hagesieg. Nugi Taki is another costume for Taki, and it shows up in Taki's good ending.
The grueling battle ends with the victory of Taki. You win!
Now, Standard is an interesting one. He doesn't show up in anyone's endings, so it's possible that he may have just been a test character. Also, it's theorised by fans that he may have been the basis for Arthur or Yoshimitsu to appear in the game, and it was a character that was simply never finished. However, he's alike to Mitsurugi, except for he's extremely slow, and he has no ponytail. Teppo Hei translates to gunman soldier in Japanese, so this character actually has no name. Even though he's referred to as Tanegashima in Mitsurugi's ending, this is actually just the name of his rifle. He shows up in Mitsurugi's good and bad endings, because it's the same bit of footage. Whether you die or he dies is up to the player. Sadly, you can't use his musket in a fight, as his moveset defaults to that of Mitsurugi.
The grueling battle ends with the victory of Hwang Song-kyung. You win!
Lastly, I like to bogus Cervantes as a character called Simulacrum Sophitia, who appears on Sophitia's Edge Master Mode. And again, I like to bogus Cervantes. You can actually play as her using a cheat code for the second player to play as the Edge Master Mode enemies. So there's not that much difference between her and the regular Sophitia, just that she glows green. Thanks for watching.